So, how is Callie going to deal with AJ being around the house after he got her fired?
Yeah, Callie's kind of mad about that. She's not very pleased with how things have gone down with AJ. She really kind of was vulnerable around him and let her chemistry with him, I guess. And, you know, of course she relates to him and she could really sympathize with his needing to find his brother. So she kind of let that affect her judgment and made a really bad judgment call, and she's kind of mad at him for that. But I mean, at the end of the day, they do have a lot of chemistry, and I think she might even be mad about that in itself, you know, and that might be what's actually driving the anger and the mistrust of it all.
And when are Stef and Lena going to find out about Callie losing her job?
Yeah, I mean, that's an ongoing thing. Her losing her job, I think she's going to try and find another situation before she has to tell them. You know, she doesn't want to be more of a kind of you know, troublesome teen than she already has been for her parents, you know. She's really trying to just, like, be low-key and be a regular teenager this summer. So, yeah, you see her trying to kind of damage control throughout a lot of the season, yeah.
Do you get the impression that Callie would like to become a social worker or something like that when she's older?
Yeah, I think you saw that in the premiere episode with AJ, in the way that Raphael talks to her and says, you know, hey, you're really good at this, you should think about doing more of this. And that's also why it was really devastating for her to lose that job at the center, is because she really did enjoy it and she is quite passionate about it. So I would love to see Callie doing more of that and being more hands-on. And it is really sad that she did lose that job, so I'm hoping that that comes back and she can kind of get her hands dirty again, yeah.
And Callie and Brandon have a trip coming up to Mexico. Are you allowed to talk about that at all?
Yeah, things go south of the border. That's all I have to say about that. I guess Callie's feeling quite liberated. She gets her license, and she's off of probation, so she's kind of feeling like she wants to just go and do something crazy, and she kind of kidnaps Brandon and they go on this trip to Mexico, and of course drama ensues, and there's some kind of illegal activity that goes down, and yeah, it's a kind of a crazy road trip episode. That was so much fun to shoot. Me and David haven't been doing a lot together. Callie and Brandon haven't really had conflicting storylines, so it was really fun to kind of work with David again for a while too.
Well, speaking of drama, how worried is Callie about Sofia's condition and situation?
Yeah, I think she's worried about her, but I also think that she trusts that Sofia is, you know, smart and is on the right track. I think what she's more concerned about is the way in which it's going to be handled with the separation with her parents and how she's going to take that. But, you know, I think that Robert Quinn is really kind of proving to be quite an amazing father and you know, a good person, and I think that she's kind of trusting that and trusting that it's kind of going to be okay with that family, yeah.
Does Callie feel that she's hurt Robert at all?
I think, you know, that's a really interesting question. I don't know if Callie's as concerned with how she's affecting Robert as much as how Robert is affecting her and her sister. I mean, at the end of the day, Callie is a teenager, and I remember when I was a teenager, I didn't think that much about how I was affecting my dad, you know, so I think, but yeah, she's interesting. I don't know, that's a really interesting question. You threw me with that. I don't know.
Sorry about that.
I don't know, let's do a little psychoanalysis. I like it. It's good. Let's get into it.
Well, do you see parallels between the relationship with AJ and his brother and Callie's situation with Jude when the show started?
Yeah, there absolutely are parallels. I think that's why she, you know, chooses to make the judgment call to let him into the center overnight, and she really does sympathize with that, and she identifies with it. It literally was her situation when she was, you know, in the pilot and when she was first introduced to the Fosters, and so she completely can relate. And I think there's something really refreshing for Callie about that. You know, she is constantly around people that are so supportive and so encouraging and loving, but, you know, having someone actually go through the same thing is a whole other level of connection and understanding that is kind of undeniable for both of them, yeah.
Well, on the subject of understanding, can you talk about how the relationship between Callie and her brother is now, and Jude?
Yeah,
and
the relationship
always
between
going through.
Callie and Jude right now is a little tricky. I mean, they're both trying to understand and figure out what their fathers mean to them and what that relationship looks like. You know, Jude is really trying to mend things with Donald and try to make that relationship work. And in our last episode, you saw Callie really reject that and then have to come to terms with it. And yeah, I think those relationships are really, really tricky. I mean, it's a difficult situation, and Jude probably doesn't feel, you know, Jude feels left out because Callie's got this whole other family that she's obviously making an effort to make him a part of, but he's kind of just not. And so their relationship is a little tricky. Also, he's like a teenager. He's, what, 14 in the show, or 13 or 14, and that's such a crazy age. I mean, my brother's that age, and, you know, we fight all the time. Like, I love him, but, you know, it's a hard age, and they're both teenagers, and they're growing up, and they're figuring out who they are, and that can be tricky, you know.
And what part of filming The Foster Season 3 has excited you the most? Like, what storyline or anything like that?
For me, I love working with Rosie O'Donnell, and she comes back this season quite heavily, and we also get to meet her daughter, which has been really fun. We were shooting those scenes yesterday, and I had the best time. So yeah, that's been really fun for me, and it's really fun for me to have like a, you know, a fresh, you know, change of pace too. So that's been really exciting.